Hey there, my friend. Hope you are doing well. I wanted to talk today about suggestions for practicing and improving your spoken English. So, a lot of times I get asked about how to connect with other people to practice conversational English. And while it's totally awesome to connect with others to practice conversation, it's not the only way to improve your spoken English. You can actually make a lot of progress and a lot of improvement by practicing at home by yourself. So, I've got 6 ideas to share with you today. But before we jump into those ideas, 2 key things to successfully practicing spoken English at home by yourself. First key, you have to speak out loud. So, reading and watching TV and movies, these are great ways to really improve your listening. These are good ways to expand vocabulary and become more familiar with different grammatical structures. But if you want to improve your spoken English, reading and watching is not going to cut it. You have to actively and deliberately speak out loud. You can't just talk to yourself in your head either. You actually have to let the words come out of your mouth. Okay? Key number 2, try to integrate your practice into activities that you're already doing throughout the day. This makes it easier to make sure that you really get your practice done when you combine it with things that you're already doing as part of your daily routine. Make sense? All right, so here's 6 suggestions for practicing at home by yourself out loud. All right, suggestion number 1, talk about your day. So at the beginning of the day, talk about what you're going to do. At the end of the day, talk about what you've done. Pick one experience from the day and retell it or share it using what I like to call the friend filter. And this is really important. So as you share an experience of something that happened to you during the day, you have to pretend like you're actually speaking to a friend. Pretend that there's someone sitting there with you. Go back to the days of childhood when you had an imaginary pal and pretend like you're talking to that person. This really helps take that practice to a conversational level. So share an experience with your friend, about how the bathtub's leaking or the coffee pot is broken and it threw off your whole day, or something that your crazy neighbor did, or what you're going to make for dinner. It can really be anything. Just share that with a friend. Suggestion number 2. Talk through the steps of a process that you're doing. So, for example, if you're cooking something, explain the steps in the recipe. Describe the process like you're Rachel Ray on a cooking show. If you're handy and you're working on a project, describe the steps in your project. Like you're explaining how to do this to a friend, or like you're on a YouTube how-to video. Suggestion number 3, as you're watching a TV show or a movie or a newscast, take that watching and listening experience into an active speaking experience. You can do this 2 ways. As you're watching, occasionally pause the video and try to imitate exactly what you've just heard. Being mindful not just of the sounds you're hearing, but really trying to match the rhythm that the speaker's using. Also, when you're done watching something, talk about what you've just seen. Again, you want to use the friend filter. Like, oh, I just saw this hilarious show. Here's what happened. Or I saw this amazing movie or this terrifying movie, and here's why it was so scary. Or I just saw this horrible movie. Here's why it was awful. Just like you were talking to a friend. If you're watching a newscast, you can talk about what you've just discovered, or even better, share an opinion about what you've learned. What's your thoughts on what's happening in your community or around the world? Suggestion 4. As you're reading, you can again take the reading practice and turn it into speaking practice by reading out loud. Then, when you're done reading, talk about what you've just read. If you're reading a fiction book, talk about what's happening with the characters, how the story's progressing. Can you relate to what's happening? How does it make you feel? If you're reading a nonfiction book or blog, talk about what you've just learned from that piece. This is a great way to help you remember information that you're reading as well, to speak it out loud, again, like you're sharing it with a friend. If you're reading a news article, same thing as watching the news, talk about what you've learned, and then even better, share an opinion. Share your thoughts about what's going on in the world around you, just like you would if you were sitting over coffee or a drink with your good friend. Suggestion number 5. Describe pictures. You know you've got a ton of them on your phone of your friends and your family from different events. Pull up a picture and describe it in a couple different ways. First, you want to pull out 3 to 5 details. Oh, this is my daughter. This is the day we went to get a new cat. She's wearing a new white dress. She has a big smile on her face. The cat is fluffy and precious. Then you can talk about or retell the experience of what happened in that picture. Oh, that was the day we decided to surprise her by getting a pet. She'd been asking for a kitten for months, and we surprised her and took her to the Humane Society, and she got to pick out a kitten. It was such a happy day, and now that little cat is totally part of our lives and our family. So you can see, you pull out the details and then retell the experience. You can also use pictures that you just see online that have nothing to do with you. Again, pulling out a few details about what you see and then making a guess about what might be happening in the picture. There's a great website. The New York Times has this feature called What's Happening in This Picture, and they post these really interesting pictures that make your mind automatically wonder, what the heck is going on here? So again, you can look at these pictures, pull out 3 to 5 details about what you see. Then you can make a guess about what the story is, what's happening here. You can guess about what might have happened right before the picture was taken. You can talk about what might have happened right after the picture was taken. So these pictures have a huge amount of expressive language potential or spoken language potential. And I'll be sure to share a link for you in the video description. So check that out. I think you'll love it. And finally, suggestion number 6, have a conversation with yourself. Okay, I know it might feel silly, but we talk to ourselves all the time in our heads. So take that inner dialogue and speak it out loud. Go for it. Play both parts. When you're trying to make a decision, when you're trying to talk yourself into something or out of something, take what's going on in your head and let it come out of your mouth, out loud in English. It's great practice. All right, so there you have it. 6 quick suggestions on practicing at home by yourself. Talk about your day. Retell experiences that you've had during your day like you're sharing it with a friend. Describe processes as you do them, while you're cooking, while you're making something, while you're doing a chore. As you're watching programs and movies, take it to active speaking practice by talking about what you've watched. Same thing with reading. Read aloud, then talk about what you've read. Share an opinion, talk about what you've learned or how something makes you feel. Use pictures for spoken language practice. Lots of opportunities here, and have conversations with yourself. Don't forget those 2 keys. You've got to do this out loud. You have to speak the words out loud. They have to come out of your mouth. And key number 2, try to integrate this practice into things you're already doing throughout the day. So that's a wrap for this little lesson. Let me know in the comments below, which strategy do you think would be easiest for you to integrate into your daily routine? I hope you found the lesson helpful. If you did, please share with friends. As always, thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.